What's up, guys? We are here this week's Day Trading Intention. We're talking about all your major social media stories, digital marketing stories, business related stories to all this stuff. I am Kip Russell, have nearly a million followers, maybe not once TikTok potentially goes away, but we're going to jump into it. So a lot's going on. It's really, I feel like, panic mode across the social media landscape. Is it a change of guard? Are things going to be shaking up? Is everyone just over it? Here's what I'm seeing, and I'm going to talk about the first big story, which is Mark Cuban goes full blue sky. We know after the election, we knew through all this stuff, Mark Cuban has been pushing blue sky. If you aren't paying attention to my last few videos, he followed me, told me to start going there, and then kind of made his case on blue sky and in Twitter why he's there. And it's the decentralized aspect of it, which makes some sense in all this craziness. Maybe he's the same one going on. So let me just kind of update the story that he just dropped. He posted a video on TikTok because people were trying to get a billionaire, somebody to jump in here and save TikTok. But what he did in the midst of that is made a video saying what he wants is someone open to making an MVP of a TikTok style app that they can launch at Blue Sky. Blue Sky just announced that they're going to have a photo sharing app called Flashes. So the opportunity here is maybe going backwards a little bit in time, not MySpace all the way, not old school Facebook, but maybe old school Instagram, where it's more about friends and family and kind of the people you want to see versus the interest graph. Maybe there's some open space for that now as everyone kind of went to the more TikTok interest graph aspect where the best content wins, which I think people still like, but there isn't really a great app, not even Facebook anymore, that's about your friends and family. And you can kind of more control who's in your ecosystem. Do people really like that? I mean, a lot of people stopped posting because of the 2016 turmoil of sharing your life, and people kind of got over it. And but maybe there's some white space. I do think people like bring the old Instagram back, so maybe Blue Sky's version of that. But the reason Mark Cuban really likes Blue Sky is this, what they call AT protocol. I'm not a super expert here. I'm going to try to do my best to describe it, but essentially it's decentralized web. So if something like they can't shut down Blue Sky, you can essentially move your followers and different things to your own server. It's a little bit above my technical information, so if someone can, maybe write in the comments. But the idea is, because of all of this, no one controls the main For You page. Two, you can kind of control your own followers and you can kind of make things on this open graph. And it's not just one main personal brand controlled network, which is what everyone is really rebelling against, right? People don't like what Zuck is doing now on Meta. People don't like Elon is doing on Twitter. TikTok was really faceless, minus the CEO. I forget the guy's name. Seems like a really nice guy. But at the end of the day, we'll jump into what the chaos of TikTok and all the latest crazy stories with, what do we got here? We have 3 days left to January 19th. This is January 16th right now. The big thing is, is Blue Sky, I go over there every day just to check it. It feels like a very left-leaning Twitter to me. There's not a ton of stuff going on. And besides the main discovery pages, I kind of jump into everything. They have their own sort of like searching trends area, kind of like Twitter. It's actually a little bit better interface. But at the end of the day, there's not a lot of conversation. There's not a lot going on these channels. They did go from 10 million to 27 million users, which isn't nearly as big as a lot of these other networks. And ultimately, people want to go where there's noise so you can build, right? And so they're useful for business. I do think personal brand-wise, you guys should be dabbling there. I'm not sure unless businesses are sort of bullish on it long-term. You could go there. There's a little bit of white space on Threads, right, and Blue Sky right now for you to just kind of like capture whatever attention is on those apps. It's not a ton. Threads has a lot less cohesiveness. I do disagree. I think the discovery engines, the For You pages of all the channels are really great for major, massive kind of like trends. And then like Twitter, for example, you have go to your, follow, like you have the following, just see the chronological news feed of your following. And if you still want to do that, I don't think that's even as interesting to me as it used to be. But you have those options on TikTok too. You don't really have that as much on the Meta platforms, but there is a version of, hey, I want to go see what my friends are posting, the people I follow. I want to go see just who I'm following, right? And then I go into the For You page for more of that passive discoverability. So there is a lot going on. I love the bookmarking aspect of Twitter, but there's chaos. That's all we know. So let's jump into the second version of chaos. The big thing with Blue Sky is if you do have a personal brand or you're a dabbler, you're a social media manager, I think you should have an account. You should be dabbling. I don't know. I don't think most brands need to be there at all, unless you're a very left-leaning brand, nonprofit or something like that, and you want to kind of jump into that space. So Blue Sky, Mark Cuban, not going away, actually getting more into the pop, but kind of what he wants to do is pull control, right? Pull control from Elon, pull control from Zucks. That's his whole argument with these networks. So, big story with TikTok. Let's just jump into all of them right now. So, the TikTok CEO plans to attend the Trump inauguration. This is with Zucks, Bezos, and Musk. So, everybody playing nice with Trump right now. There's just a lot at stake and a lot going on for probably all of these platforms. Is like Europe is getting really crazy with regulation. All the other South America, different countries are all doing their own version. China's not even letting anybody in those markets. So, right, it's really important that the U.S. market probably is profitable and does well as everyone else is sort of like trying to suppress information. So, a couple things going on here. So, TikTok CEO plans, all the big players in the space are going to be at Trump's inauguration. I think they're trying to start the relationship, getting ahead of things potentially, seeing where the landscape's going. Networking and pleading their case for what they're trying to do, and probably not trying to get split up. Like people are potentially Google, right, is already, I think, on the hook. I haven't heard much yet where that netted out. Are they going to split up Google, right? Google search from YouTube, from cloud space stuff. There's talks of that happens. Then maybe Meta's next. Right, everybody can get whacked. So we're definitely in this transitional phase of a lot of things. So the big news with TikTok, in addition, is China just threatens to turn off the app if we in January 19th they act like what do you call it, the deadline isn't extended for them. They just plan to turn it off, and I think this is just a big game. Someone said of chicken, but I think it's really like, hey, see if you can live without it, see how your citizens feel, and maybe that backlash is the thing that just gets the app turned back on, and Trump's going to kind of negotiate all this. I wish they would divest, because I do think that's the best win-win for both parties. I think the hard thing for me to swallow, as much as I have 800,000 followers there, is like, at the end of the day, if they won't let Meta, Google, YouTube, and all these other things in their platform, in fact, they won't even let the American version of TikTok in China. So it's like there's a lot to take in with all this, but TikTok is a very vital part of the economy right now, and I think a lot of people are going to be in pain. People are going to be trying to figure out what to do, where to put the time, where to get their audiences back. The shopping aspect in TikTok is very big business for a lot of people. It's changed a lot of people's lives. So there's a lot at stake, more than just for me, but for a lot of people out there. So everything's going on. A lot of people are protesting. They went to Red Note, right, which is another like Chinese-owned app, which is, I think, jumped almost 1 million users. Mr. Beast jumped in. Mark Cuban, right, is jumped in. We have Kevin O'Leary, right, is jumped in. So there's the whole story that China might work with Elon to take it over, right? In addition, there's been several senators. They put together like a bill to give it another, I think, almost a year. There's 130 signatures on this bill, from U.S. citizens trying to get the bill passed so that basically Trump's going to extend it. I think there's no way Trump doesn't extend it. I think at this point, I did see a Republican congressman, I think he's from like one of the Alabama or Mississippi, was basically like, we're not doing it. Like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a game of hardball, right? Like, who's going to win? What's the best path forward? We're in the thick of it here. I have no real concrete predictions, but my bet is on that it gets extended. Snapchat's running a campaign trying to get people to go to Snapchat. I think it's called "What's Your Favorite Snapchat" or something like that. At the end of the day, they're trying to poach users, just like Blue Sky, right? Just like Meta. All of them are trying to, like, TikTok's dead, come to us, right? The most dramatic is maybe LinkedIn and YouTube, which probably both have realistically the most upside besides Instagram if people just go there because they need to for businesses. So I'm on all of them. I'm mostly focused on YouTube this year as you're watching me here. I think YouTube is the best channel for creators long term. The only thing YouTube doesn't have that TikTok had is the shop, right? TikTok shop was a game changer for a lot of affiliates and small businesses. I think YouTube just needs to focus all their energy there. They're doing a really good thing. I think I shared in the last video that they're going to be adding, basically, you post your long form video, they're going to be able to auto clip it into the most engaged short. So if this minute and a half segment is your most watched, it'll clip it and you can drop it into your shorts, which is the holy grail for all marketers right now. Gateway drug, short form content. They go to your pillar content if you have it, which is long form, right? All brands need to be thinking like that. So social media today, which is another big, one of the biggest social media news sites, are we in a new social media shakeup era? Is the dream over, right? And I'm like laughing. When did the social media become the WWE? It's all personality driven now, just like everything is. And it's really easy when you have a personal brand to focus the message, right, for the platforms. Instagram does it with Adam Mosseri and Zuckerberg, and then Twitter does it with Elon and the lady, I forget the sales lady's name, and then obviously all players are trying to kind of jump in that space now. The Blue Sky and Mark Cuban, right? But I think the most important lesson for all marketers is you got to control your audience. So, newsletters, email lists, getting people off the platforms onto things that you can own long term is still the game. It always was the game. It's the game since really the internet started. Own your list. The larger the list, usually, right? The larger your business is, because that's just really the game. You own that list. You can email. You can ask them to follow you in different spots. The attention kind of moves all around the world right now. So a lot going on. Are we in a new era? Is this going to be maybe a downgrade of some of the bigger players and a lot of new emerging players come up? Is there an AI only one? Or is there an old school one for nostalgia? Maybe it's going to be like TV, where these social networks really just get more divided and each one has more of a niche purpose. We'll see. I do think YouTube is ultimately the best setup for all of this stuff. Lastly, Google search is going through it, right? At the end of the day, we're digital marketers. You're thinking about this for your business. There's been a ton of people coming out calling search engine everywhere. We're really, if you think about, TikTok does impact all of this, because TikTok is a really big search engine, but like Reddit's underrated, right? Maybe Reddit, as they were trying to make their video aspect, that vertical video newsfeed successful, Reddit could be a player. But at the end of the day, feeding AI, owning a niche, having a purpose that's different than the other networks is really the game here. But everything is sort of merging, right? Like YouTube's adding, Google's adding PMax, right? And YouTube ads, and YouTube has shorts, and it's a lot like Meta. And Meta is trying to add search, and TikTok has search, because at the end of the day, it's all search and interest-based and query-based. So you need to be thinking about search as multi-channel now. The biggest marketers in the game are all saying that. This is not like a fact. There's something called zero-click searches, right? People go into Google, they're mostly looking for information in the beginning. There's only 5% of people usually are trying to buy. So you need to get in front of people through what they're searching for or looking for information, to introduce them to the brand, so long term they can end up purchasing from you, or you can collect that data and then remarket them, right? So Google's going through it. There's a lot going on. Does it get broken up, right? Search is really getting beat up. AI is starting to take a lot of different things over. And really, I feel like AI news is almost like the new social media news, but the social media news is really just wild right now, because we're in the wake of TikTok and everyone's sort of positioning for capturing that attention or potential user fall off. So, will it get banned? We don't know. Lots of things to think about. Your strategists and pray for your social media managers right now, because we're all stressing your digital marketing managers, your CMOs right now. The big channels are all fighting for attention. It's more saturated than ever. Creative's more important than ever. So just to be thinking about all these big stories. I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't. I do think the one thing with TikTok and all these big things that I think is important is, I think whether you believe in what Mark Zuckerberg is doing or Elon, at the end of the day, if every country just has their own Facebook, their own YouTube, their own Google, their own, right? At the end of the day, they just control the narrative again, back like traditional media, and that's probably what they all want. So I do like the aspect of going back. While there's an aspect of we're all human, we all have opinions, we don't like what each other says, the freedom and the higher usage of these channels is just good for business. I think good for leading the world, versus being, China just bans all of the apps and then they have their own that they control what information is there, right? Either you like that or you don't. Either that's in our DNA or not. EU is really pushing on YouTube now, right? It's pushed on every social network. It's fighting Elon to basically censor what they call misinformation. But at the end of the day, who's the arbiter of that? And that is the, I think, biggest conversation that we're all trying to figure out. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not. That's where I think my heart is. I think it makes more sense to go more lax, and then you worry about the big stuff. Maybe that's the wrong side, but I think too much suppression, control, subversion ultimately impacts all of us. I've been on both sides of it too. So just a thought for the day. Hope you like this episode. A lot going on. 3 days left till we see what happens with TikTok. Later.